Hello everybody. I was connecting with a friend and he told me that he got some feedback from the client and these were the three dimensions that the feedback were centered around. Number one is lack of accountability and ownership. Number two is no sense of urgency. And number three is question marks around his technical abilities itself. Now, I know this guy from a very long time and I know whenever we are having a conversation in the last few months, he's always talking about, hey Pavan, I'm not getting any time because I'm doing too many things at work. And what is he doing? Number one, he's coding at night. Number two, he's doing resource planning, fulfillment in the morning. He's also doing bench management. Number four, he's also doing client relationship management and n number of other things on top of his regular client coding. Now the question mark to me was, why did this happen? And what was the repercussion? He said very clearly, when the God in the IT services world, that's the client, gives feedback, positive or negative, nobody does any type of RCA, root cause analysis. Add on top of that, even if it's the second level God, right? That is the on-site tech lead. Even if these guys give any feedback, positive, negative, there is no RCA on top of that as well. So this impression will stay back and this will impact the performance rating and this will also impact the bonus and the salary of the individual. And he told me the email, the feedback that was really circulated pointed to some very minor incidents which happened in the last 1 to 2 weeks and which reflects the salary that you take for the entire year. And then we started talking about how can we avoid these situations and what are some of the good things that should be done. The first and the foremost thing is about putting things on paper, making sure you write an email after every single sprint. CC the client, the client's manager, and also your manager. So there are 4 or 5 people in the email after every sprint, and each and every person cannot give you a surprise after 6 months or 7 months with negative feedback. You are writing in this email what are the tickets that are assigned to you, what did you do exactly in that ticket, and if you have faced any blockers. And finally, you should add a sentence which says, if you have any feedback, do share it here. Thank you. Now, they can't come to you and say that, hey, we didn't give you feedback 6 months back, but now we are telling everything that you have done is shit. So these type of emails will literally save you 6 months down the lane. If nobody reads it, absolutely fine. If people say don't write it, please never stop it. Just continue writing these emails after every single sprint because you never know when the tables will turn. This is an extremely good habit. No amount of over communication is actually over communication in the corporate world. So continue to over communicate. The second thing that can happen even if you write an email is potentially there is a roll-off. And why are these roll-offs happening? Just let's take an example. If in a particular project there is both back-end work and also front-end work that's happening. In Q1, there is a lot of back-end work, and now as we move to Q2, let's assume that there is a lot of work happening in the front-end space. Now, what happens to the back-end resource? They'll very simply say that, hey, you have done a great job, but we have to roll you off. And if you are in a medium-sized IT company, then typically it is difficult to get a project, and unfortunately, then you will be rolled off from the company itself. So, another upskilling opportunity over really plays a big role. By the way, these kind of roll-offs were not very common pre-COVID, but now all the companies are trying to optimize for the cost. So they are trying to see, hey, can one single individual do both front-end and also back-end for me? They will ask you that direct point-blank question, hey, you have been working on the back-end for so long, do you know how to work on the front-end as well, right? It could be JavaScript, it could be CSS, it could be any of these things. But do you know it versus not? And if you say no, then you will be rolled off very quickly. So take that opportunity to upskill yourself, at least in the adjacent areas or the areas which are currently growing in the market. There is one other career skill right now which is looking like having a long life ahead, a career in data science. If you are interested in building a career in data science, do check out Odin School's 6-month live instructor-led bootcamp. In this bootcamp, you are not only learning theoretical concepts, but you also get to apply these concepts in 10 plus projects under the guidance of industry professionals. When you go through the success stories, you will realize that folks have not only utilized this bootcamp to launch their careers in data science, but have also used this to transition into data science from a completely different technology. On top of it, once you complete the 6-month bootcamp, you are eligible to apply for their 500 plus hiring partners. And the placement support will continue for more than 2 years, where you will be having a lot of mock interview sessions, behavioral sessions, and so on. The course fee can also be paid in 2 ways. Option 1, you can pay the full course fee of rupees 75,000, which comes along with EMI options, and you are also eligible for early bird offers up to 10,000. Option 2 is you pay 40,000 in advance and attend the full course and pay 10% of your CTC after getting job through Odin School. Go ahead and register for the bootcamp using the link in the description box. The third thing that can potentially happen is, irrespective of good feedback, negative feedback, or you are upskilled versus not, you might see that 6 months down the lane, because of budget constraints, there is always a role of possibility. And what do you do in that scenario? You have to learn to market yourself. A lot of people consider job hopping as a negative thing. Yes, probably one job every 6 months, the recruiters will ask you questions around, hey, why did you move 8 jobs in the last 4 years? But moving jobs at a reasonable pace, now that pace is actually 18 months, right? 12 to 18 months is definitely okay. So you need to be in the market, even if you are not looking for a job, just so that you understand what is the value your skill set has. And if something negative happens, not because of, let's say, negative feedback, not because of upskilling opportunity, but because of budget constraints, then you are ready to get into the market. Please do not ignore this thing as well. You can use LinkedIn jobs, or you can use Naukri, or even better, if you have time and this is only an additional exercise that you are doing, make sure you start connecting with that people on LinkedIn. I have made a lot of videos. I will also give you links to a few videos where I talked about how to organically build that personal brand on LinkedIn. Do it in your good time. The fourth option is, in spite of doing all of this roll-off might come to you as a sudden surprise. Then what do? The only way to handle these situations is, you should be having that 6-month emergency fund so that you can look for that next job or next activity without any kind of stress. Again, having a conversation recently, and a friend told that, hey, I'm quitting my job. I don't know what's happening next. I will figure it out 2-3 months, but I don't want to take this stress anymore. So all these opportunities can be explored. You can try different things, just that you need to have that 6-month emergency fund. The whole point over here is, opportunities exist. It could be in your company, in the same project if you upskill, or it could be a different project in the same company, or it could be a completely new company. Opportunities do exist, but these opportunities will be hard to come by if you are searching for them in an anxious state of mind, or if you are under stress. So hope this video is helpful and you stick to these 4 steps even in your good time. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye bye.